Car prices have been ridiculous for a few years now, and like a lot of other things affected by inflation, cars are not very affordable. But that doesn't change the fact we need cars to go places. So if you're thinking about buying a vehicle, how much vehicle can you really afford? For some quick context, here's the situation we're in. Car affordability is still near the lowest level it's been in over 10 years. The average cost of a new vehicle is still around $48,000, and used car prices are selling for more than $26,000. High car prices are only half of why they're so unaffordable right now. The other half has to do with interest rates. The average interest rate on a new car loan ranges from 5% to 14%, and the average used car rate from 7% to 21%. Combine high prices with high interest rates, and you get the average car payments for used cars at $528 and new cars at $729. Throw on top the cost of insurance and maintenance, and you can see why buying a car right now is a huge financial decision. That's the situation we're in. So now let's get to how much you can spend on a car. The realist answer is that it depends on your individual situation and what kind of expenses you have. But you're not watching this video to hear that, are you? To figure out how much car you can actually afford, we're going to use the 24-10 rule that many financial experts reference as a general guideline. The 24-10 rule stands for 20% down, 4-year auto loan term, and 10% of income. This rule tries to protect buyers from taking out too much debt for way too long on a vehicle that's outside their budget. Now, I have no idea how much you earn on an annual basis, so let's use the average person to figure this out. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average person has a salary of $61,900. For simplicity, let's round that down to 60. If we divide 60,000 by 12, we get our monthly gross income of $5,000. The 24-10 rule says we can't spend more than 10% of our income on what it costs to own a car, which is $500 a month. But here's the thing, that $500 has to cover the total cost of ownership, not just your car payment. So we have to take into consideration things like insurance, gas, and expected maintenance. The average car insurance payment for minimum coverage is about $50 a month. The average amount spent on gas ranges, but let's say $150, and average maintenance will cost around $65. When you add those costs together, you get $265. Subtract that from the original $500, and you get a car payment of $235 a month that won't break the 24-10 rule. That's not a lot of money for a car payment in today's market. But remember, this is about honestly gauging what you can afford. Let's keep going. It's time to figure out the highest car price you should be willing to pay. This price will be subject to 3 constraints on the financing. You'll be putting 20% down, your auto loan term will be 48 months, and your car payment can exceed $235. This is the 24-10 rule. But there's one more factor to consider here: what interest rate you'll pay. Recall earlier, rates on car loans significantly vary depending on whether it's a new or used car and what kind of credit score the borrower has. Again, because I don't know your individual situation, let's take the overall average rate for new cars, which is 6.63%. Call it 7% for our example. Using an auto loan calculator provided by Investopedia, we set our down payment percent at 20, our loan term at 48 months, and the average interest rate of 7%. Notice that at a starting car price of $35,000, the monthly payment is $670, way above our target of $235. So reducing the car price all the way down until we get close to $235, making incremental adjustments up or down, and we have our final car price. That's right. Under the conditions of the 24-10 rule, earning an average salary, facing average costs of car ownership, and financing with a high interest rate, the most expensive car you can afford is $12,250. That just puts into perspective how unaffordable the current car market is. Remember that the average new car price is $48,000. That's 4 times the amount that's considered affordable under the 24-10 rule. I know hearing $12,250 is what someone who makes $60,000 can afford is underwhelming and flat out discouraging. If you've been shopping around for a car, then you know 12 grand won't likely buy you a new vehicle or a used one that's in decent condition. That's the unfortunate reality about today's economy from the POV of a consumer. It is really, really expensive to own things, and even more expensive to finance them. So if you're thinking to yourself, the 24/10 rule isn't realistic, here are some general notes on how you could afford a higher car price. The most obvious, but certainly not the easiest, is to earn an income higher than the average person. If you make more money, 10% of that larger salary will give you more wiggle room for a car payment. Using the same parameters as before, just with a higher allowable car payment of say $400, you can buy a car priced at nearly $21,000. Much more realistic in today's market. The next thing would be to have a credit score that unlocks those lower rates. The interest rate that you borrow at is a factor in determining the affordability of higher priced vehicles. Let's say the budget was still a $235 car payment, but the interest rate was now 5%. You could now afford to pay $12,750 for a car, $500 more than at 7% interest. $500 isn't peanuts when buying a car. It could matter when finding something you want that's just outside of your budget. As a side note, I guess you could always extend the term of the loan from 48 to 60 or 72 months, and you could put more than 20% down, but then we'd be breaking the 24/10 rule, which for the purposes of this video, we're trying not to do. So the last thing you could honestly do is wait. Both the new and used car markets are still at historically unaffordable prices, and that's something that just isn't sustainable. Something's gotta give at some point. That's why if you don't absolutely need to buy a car now, it makes sense to wait. But I will be upfront about this. No one knows exactly when the car market will correct itself and return to sustainable price levels. It could be 1 week, 2 months, 3 years from now. We simply don't know. But what we do know is right now, today, car prices are unaffordable. So why subject yourself to that if you don't have to? And that just about does it for this video. How much car can you really afford? Well, if you're following the 24/10 rule in today's economy, probably a lot less than you thought. But don't lose hope. Like all other things, insane car prices will at some point return to the mean. If you found this video helpful or at the very least entertaining, I welcome you to subscribe to the channel for more. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself and best of luck.